Across the vast tapestry of human history, one thread is woven into almost every culture, every society, every individual life: belief. From the earliest cave paintings to the soaring spires of cathedrals, from whispered prayers in the dark to grand pronouncements from pulpits, humanity has consistently sought meaning beyond the tangible. But why? What primal urge, what deep-seated need, compelled us to invent gods, to forge connections with the unseen, and to build entire worlds of faith? This isn't just about ancient myths, it's about understanding the very core of what makes us human, and it holds the key to understanding our past, our present, and perhaps even our future. Join us as we explore the profound origins of religion. Humans didn't invent gods out of ignorance, they invented them to survive a chaotic, unpredictable world where lightning, disease, and death had no explanation. The genesis of belief in supernatural forces wasn't born from a void of knowledge, but from a profound need to navigate an existence fraught with peril and mystery. Early humans faced a world where the elements raged with untamed fury. A sudden, violent storm, complete with deafening thunder and blinding lightning, could obliterate a settlement or a hunting party. These cataclysmic events, occurring without any discernible cause or pattern, instilled a deep sense of helplessness. The sheer power on display, so far beyond human control, demanded an explanation, a way to conceptualize and perhaps even appease the forces behind such devastation. Disease, too, presented an inexplicable adversary. A healthy individual could be struck down by a fever or a wasting sickness with terrifying speed. In the absence of germ theory or any understanding of biological processes, these afflictions were attributed to unseen agents, malevolent spirits, or divine displeasure. Death, the ultimate and most universal mystery, loomed as an ever-present threat. The cessation of life, the departure of a loved one, left a gaping wound in the fabric of community, a void that naturalistic explanations could not yet fill. These were not minor inconveniences, they were existential threats to survival. To cope with this pervasive uncertainty, humans developed frameworks that offered a semblance of order and agency. By positing the existence of gods or spirits, they could ascribe intention and personality to the chaotic forces of nature. This allowed for a more manageable worldview. If a drought occurred, it wasn't random, perhaps a god was angry. If a sickness spread, it might be a punishment, or a curse that could be countered with rituals or offerings. This conceptual leap provided a mechanism for understanding, for prediction, and crucially, for action. Inventing gods became a survival strategy. It allowed communities to develop shared narratives and practices aimed at influencing these perceived supernatural powers. Rituals, prayers, and sacrifices emerged as tools to appease angered deities, seek protection from harm, or ensure good fortune. This collective engagement fostered social cohesion, creating bonds through shared belief and common purpose. In essence, the invention of gods provided a psychological and social buffer against the harsh realities of an unpredictable world, enabling early humans to persevere and build societies in the face of overwhelming natural forces. In a world without science, every storm, shadow, and sudden loss demanded meaning, because the human brain is wired to search for patterns and agents behind events. The human mind craves order and understanding. Faced with phenomena beyond immediate comprehension, our ancestors sought explanations. A sudden, violent thunderstorm wasn't merely a meteorological event, it was the wrath of a powerful, unseen force. A prolonged drought wasn't a climatic shift, it was a sign of displeasure from deities who controlled the rain. This innate drive to find cause and effect, to attribute agency to unexplained occurrences, laid the groundwork for early religious thought. Every rustle in the leaves, every unexplained illness, every unexpected bounty, all demanded a narrative. The brain is fundamentally a pattern-seeking machine. It is constantly analyzing sensory input, looking for connections, and building models of the world. In the absence of scientific tools and knowledge, these patterns were often interpreted through a lens of intentionality. A predator's successful hunt was not random chance, it was perhaps guided by a spirit of the wild. The changing seasons, vital for survival, were perceived as a deliberate cycle orchestrated by beings with agency. This tendency to infer the presence of intelligent agents, even when none exist, is a deeply ingrained cognitive bias. Consider the prehistoric hunter observing a herd of migrating animals. He might notice that certain behaviors, like the direction of the wind or the flight of birds, seem to precede the herd's movement. Instead of a complex interplay of environmental factors, his mind might leap to the conclusion that these signs are deliberate messages, signals from an unseen world that can be interpreted and acted upon. This search for meaning in every event, from the mundane to the catastrophic, provided a sense of control and predictability in an otherwise unpredictable existence. Every shadow held a potential threat, every light a possible blessing, and both needed an explanation rooted in agency. When something moved in the grass or thunder shook the sky, the mind assumed intention, creating invisible agents long before organized religion existed. The rustle in the undergrowth, the sudden snap of a twig, these were not mere coincidences to early humans. A flicker of movement, unseen but felt, sparked a profound connection to the world around them. When something moved in the grass or thunder shook the sky, the mind, seeking patterns and causality, assumed intention. This innate tendency to attribute agency to the unseen laid the groundwork for understanding the universe not as a series of random events, but as a realm influenced by conscious, albeit invisible, forces. Consider the primal fear and/or inspired by a violent storm. The sky roaring, the earth trembling, the trees thrashing, these were not simply meteorological phenomena. For the nascent human mind, such power demanded an explanation beyond the physical. It was far more comprehensible, far more comforting, to imagine a colossal being, a powerful entity, orchestrating the tempest, perhaps in anger, perhaps in warning. This projection of human-like intention onto natural forces was a crucial step, a mental leap that predated formal rituals and codified beliefs. This process of inferring intention from observable events became a fundamental way of navigating a world filled with unpredictable dangers and astonishing phenomena. The sudden illness of a child, the miraculous survival after a fall, the bounty of a successful hunt, each event could be interpreted through the lens of unseen agents at work. These invisible entities were not yet gods in the organized sense, but rather the foundational concepts of spirits, forces, or wills that governed existence. Their actions, though mysterious, were understood through the familiar framework of human motivation, desire, anger, benevolence. This anthropomorphic tendency, this drive to see intentionality in the world, allowed early humans to create a narrative for their experiences. It transformed a chaotic environment into a place with underlying order, however inscrutable. The rustle in the grass became a warning from a guardian spirit, the thunder a divine pronouncement. These early attributions of agency, born from a mind seeking to make sense of the inexplicable, were the very seeds from which later, more complex religious systems would eventually grow. Gods turned chaos into narrative, giving people the illusion of control through prayer, ritual, and structured belief. The vast, untamed world, a swirling vortex of unpredictable events, presented humanity with an overwhelming sense of powerlessness. Natural disasters struck without warning, harvests failed inexplicably, and life itself was fragile, often extinguished by disease or conflict. This pervasive chaos, this lack of discernible order, was a source of deep anxiety. To cope, early humans began to weave narratives, transforming the random into the comprehensible. These stories, populated by supernatural beings with intentions and personalities, provided a framework for understanding the inexplicable. A lightning strike wasn't just a random electrical discharge, it was the anger of a sky god. A bountiful harvest wasn't mere luck, it was the favor of an earth deity. This narrative impulse fostered an illusion of control. By attributing events to the actions and whims of gods, humans felt they could influence outcomes. Prayer became a means of communication, an attempt to appease or petition these divine entities. Rituals, from elaborate ceremonies to simple daily observances, offered a structured way to engage with the sacred. These actions, whether offering sacrifices or performing specific dances, were believed to manipulate the divine will, thereby altering the course of events. The predictable rhythm of ritual provided a comforting counterpoint to the unpredictable nature of existence. Structured belief systems emerged as a consequence of this need for order and control. Shared myths and doctrines created communities bound by common understandings of the cosmos and humanity's place within it. This shared reality, however artificial, offered psychological solace. Knowing the rules, understanding the supposed motivations of the gods, and participating in collective rituals provided a sense of belonging and purpose. It was a coping mechanism, a way to navigate the terrifying void of uncertainty by imposing a human-like order onto the divine. This structured framework, however illusory, allowed individuals to feel less like passive victims of fate and more like active participants in a divinely orchestrated, albeit often difficult, drama. The very act of believing, of engaging in prayer and ritual, generated a feeling of agency, a vital psychological buffer against the raw, unyielding chaos of the natural world. Religion reduced anxiety by transforming randomness into purpose and fear into story. The universe, in its raw form, often presented a terrifyingly chaotic spectacle. Storms raged without warning, crops failed inexplicably, and life was fragile, subject to the whims of unseen forces. This inherent unpredictability bred a deep-seated anxiety in early humans. To cope with this pervasive sense of vulnerability, belief systems emerged, offering a powerful antidote, the transformation of randomness into purpose. Instead of a meaningless, chaotic existence, events began to be understood as part of a grander design, orchestrated by entities with intentions, however inscrutable. A drought wasn't just bad luck, it was a consequence of displeasing a sky god, a problem that could, with the right rituals and appeasement, be rectified. This reinterpretation of events provided a crucial psychological buffer. Fear, a primal response to danger and the unknown, was similarly transmuted. Instead of being paralyzed by the sheer terror of predatory animals, natural disasters, or the inevitability of death, humans began to weave these fears into narratives. Gods and spirits became the actors in these stories, their actions explaining and contextualizing the frightening aspects of life. The lion that stalked the village wasn't just a hungry beast, it might be a manifestation of a powerful deity's wrath or a test of human courage. Death, the ultimate unknown, was often framed as a transition, a journey to another realm, or a reward for a life well lived, all mediated by divine beings. These narratives served a vital social function as well. Shared stories, myths, and rituals created a common understanding and fostered group cohesion. When individuals faced hardship, they could draw comfort from the collective belief that their suffering had meaning and that powerful, benevolent forces were ultimately in control, or at least responsive to their pleas. This sense of shared purpose and the reduction of existential dread allowed communities to focus their energies on survival and development, rather than being consumed by constant, paralyzing fear of the arbitrary. The ability to impose order and meaning onto a disordered world through storytelling and divine agency was a profound cognitive leap, shaping the human experience in fundamental ways. Belief also strengthened tribes, creating shared identity, coordinated behavior, and deeper cooperation. Shared belief systems provided a powerful glue for early human groups. This commonality wasn't just about abstract ideas, it fostered a tangible sense of belonging. When individuals felt connected to a larger narrative, a shared origin story, or a common set of moral guidelines dictated by the divine, their commitment to the group increased. This shared identity acted as a powerful differentiator, distinguishing us from them and solidifying internal bonds. Think of it as an invisible banner under which people rallied, their individual motivations often subsumed by the collective purpose. This unified identity naturally led to more coordinated behavior. Rituals, ceremonies, and adherence to prescribed social norms, often framed within a religious context, created predictable patterns of interaction. Everyone knew the rules of engagement, the expected responses in various situations, and the consequences of stepping out of line. Such predictability reduced internal friction and allowed groups to act with a singular purpose, whether it was organizing a hunt, defending territory, or undertaking large-scale construction projects. The very act of participating in shared religious practices reinforced these behavioral norms. The most significant outcome was the amplification of cooperation. When individuals believed they were part of a divinely sanctioned community, or that their actions were being observed and judged by higher powers, they were more likely to trust and assist one another. This extended beyond immediate kin, fostering cooperation among unrelated individuals who might otherwise have been rivals. The promise of communal benefit, or even supernatural reward, incentivized altruism and sacrifice for the good of the tribe. This enhanced capacity for cooperation gave these groups a distinct evolutionary advantage, allowing them to outcompete less cohesive societies. Consider the coordinated efforts required for large-scale agriculture or defense, these were far more achievable when a shared belief system encouraged mutual reliance and collective action. The idea of a watching supernatural force shaped morality, making behavior more predictable even when no human authority was present. The awareness of an unseen, all-knowing entity profoundly influenced early human societies. This concept of a watchful supernatural force acted as a powerful, invisible authority, shaping ethical frameworks and fostering predictable behavior. When individuals knew their actions might be observed by a divine power, even in the absence of any human overseer, they were more inclined to adhere to societal norms and moral codes. This internal monitoring system, driven by the belief in divine judgment or reward, reduced the need for constant external policing, thereby enhancing social cohesion and stability. Consider the development of laws and social contracts. While formal legal systems are a relatively recent invention, the idea of a god or gods enforcing justice predates them by millennia. These supernatural enforcers, with their omniscient gaze, provided a compelling reason to act virtuously. From the earliest hunter-gatherer bands to burgeoning agricultural communities, the fear of divine retribution for transgressions like theft, violence, or dishonesty served as a potent deterrent. This psychological mechanism ensured that individuals behaved more cooperably and predictably, even in situations where they might have otherwise yielded to selfish impulses. This perceived divine oversight played a crucial role in the establishment of trust within groups. When individuals believed that others were also accountable to the same supernatural beings, it fostered a sense of shared moral obligation. This shared belief system created a foundation for cooperation, allowing for more complex social interactions and the development of larger, more organized communities. The psychological weight of a divine witness meant that even private actions, unseen by fellow humans, could have public consequences in the afterlife or through divine intervention, thereby promoting a more reliable and ethical populace. Over time, small tribal spirits evolved into structured religious systems that reinforce social order and leadership. From the nebulous animism of early human groups, where spirits resided in trees, rocks, and rivers, a profound transformation occurred. These localized, often capricious, entities gradually coalesced. Their influence expanded, and their narratives grew more complex, weaving together the fabric of daily life and the mysteries of existence. This evolution was not a sudden leap but a slow, organic process, shaped by the increasing needs of developing societies. As communities grew larger and more complex, the simple appeasement of individual spirits became insufficient. A need arose for a more cohesive worldview, one that could explain natural phenomena, guide moral behavior, and, crucially, legitimize authority. The spirits of the land began to gather into pantheons, their attributes and relationships becoming more defined. These divine hierarchies mirrored the emerging social structures, with powerful chief gods overseeing lesser deities, much like chieftains ruled over their people. This reimagining provided a cosmic framework for human affairs. This structured approach proved invaluable for maintaining social order. Shared myths and rituals fostered a sense of collective identity and obligation. The pronouncements of priests and shamans, now interpreters of a more formalized divine will, carried significant weight. These religious leaders often held positions of power, their spiritual authority translating directly into secular influence. Religious doctrines provided a moral compass, dictating acceptable conduct and punishing transgressors through social ostracism or the fear of divine retribution, thus reinforcing societal norms and the authority of those who upheld them. Religion was not merely spiritual imagination, it functioned as social technology for survival and stability. Religion served as a crucial social technology, an evolutionary advantage that helped early human groups thrive. It wasn't simply about belief in unseen forces, it was a mechanism for binding communities together, establishing norms, and fostering cooperation. Shared rituals, myths, and moral codes created a powerful sense of collective identity, making groups more cohesive and resilient. This cohesion translated into tangible benefits for survival. Consider the development of agriculture. Establishing and maintaining large-scale farming operations required unprecedented levels of coordination and trust among individuals. Religious frameworks provided the scaffolding for this cooperation. They often dictated communal tasks, harvest celebrations, and systems of resource sharing, all underpinned by the belief that adherence to divine or ancestral mandates would ensure prosperity and ward off disaster. The shared commitment, enforced by social pressure and the fear of supernatural retribution, made collective action possible. Furthermore, religion offered a system of social control that was far more effective than mere physical coercion. By imbuing rules with sacred authority, it encouraged individuals to internalize norms and regulate their own behavior, even when not directly observed. This self-policing reduced internal conflict and fostered a predictable social environment. The establishment of taboos, for instance, protected vital resources or prevented dangerous practices, contributing to the long-term stability of the group. This social technology extended to conflict resolution and intergroup relations. Shared religious beliefs could foster alliances between different communities, creating larger, more powerful social networks. Conversely, distinct religious identities could also serve to delineate us from them, solidifying in-group solidarity in the face of external threats. The elaborate ceremonies and shared narratives acted as powerful bonding agents, ensuring that individuals prioritized the group's welfare, a critical factor in the complex and often perilous environment faced by our ancestors. If survival created gods, the deeper question becomes what modern forces continue to create belief today. If survival forged the initial sparks of divinity in the human psyche, the enduring question then probes the modern forces that continue to cultivate belief. It's a complex interplay of psychological needs, social structures, and the very narratives we construct to make sense of our existence. The inherent human desire for meaning and purpose, for instance, remains a potent driver. In a world often characterized by chaos and uncertainty, religion offers a framework, a sense of order, and a promise of something beyond the material. This psychological anchor provides comfort, especially when facing existential anxieties like death or the perceived unfairness of life. Furthermore, the social dimension cannot be overstated. Communities coalesce around shared beliefs, creating strong bonds and a sense of belonging. These shared rituals and practices reinforce group identity, fostering cooperation and mutual support. Think of the shared meals, the communal singing, the collective prayer. These acts solidify social ties, a vestige of our evolutionary past where group cohesion was paramount for survival. Even in contemporary secular societies, the impulse for belonging finds expression in various forms, and religious institutions often fill this void, offering a ready-made social network and a moral compass. The propagation of belief also hinges on the power of storytelling and tradition. Religions transmit complex cosmologies, ethical guidelines, and historical narratives across generations, shaping worldviews from childhood. These narratives, often imbued with emotional resonance and moral authority, provide ready answers to life's fundamental questions, reducing the cognitive load of constant existential inquiry. The enduring appeal of these ancient stories, adapted and reinterpreted for modern audiences, speaks to their deep-seated psychological impact. It's a testament to the human capacity for narrative absorption, a trait that has served us well in understanding and navigating our world. Finally, the modern landscape itself presents fertile ground for belief. The constant barrage of information, the anxieties of a rapidly changing world, and the search for authenticity in an increasingly commodified existence all contribute. For some, organized religion offers a bulwark against overwhelming complexity, a clear set of principles to live by. For others, the very act of questioning and seeking answers, even within a religious framework, becomes a personal journey of discovery and meaning-making, demonstrating the multifaceted nature of enduring faith. From the dawn of humanity, in the face of the unknown, we sought order, meaning, and connection. Religion, in its myriad forms, emerged as a powerful response, a framework for understanding the cosmos, guiding our actions, and binding our communities. It's a testament to our innate drive to find purpose, to transcend the mundane, and to grapple with the profound questions of existence. What echoes of these ancient needs resonate within us today? Join us next time as we explore the fascinating intersection of our ancient beliefs and the modern mind, the psychology of belief, why we still need faith.